I keep putting this haul off because it keeps getting bigger and bigger and therefore more of a task to film. But if I keep putting it off, it'll keep getting worse. So quarantine, baby. Hey demons, welcome back to the channel. My name is Taylor. In today's video, I am going through all of the books that I have acquired in this lovely, lovely state of quarantine slash self-isolation slash 2020. I don't know the last time that I did one of my book hauls. I'm going to say it was probably at the beginning of June. We're gonna say the beginning of May to make myself feel better about all of this. So yeah, it's a huge book haul. It's probably the biggest book haul I've ever done, but there are a couple of reasons that makes that the case. My birthday is in June, so I typically get more book cards and gifts, stuff like that adds to the pile. I've been chasing serotonin any way that I can in 2020, and I've also been trying to support a lot of smaller bookstores as well by purchasing books just to, you know, keep the economy going, keep them in business. I mean, yes, obviously I believe that. I've just gone a little overboard. Normally I like doing monthly hauls, but I kept putting this one off and putting it off, and I just need to sit down and do it because yeah, my August book of the month box is coming sometime this week, and I just figure that is a good point to kind of section off and film all of the books that I have received since then and start a new one at the end of August, hopefully not being too big because I have to have some type of budget. So without further ado, let's get into all of the books that I've acquired over quarantine. So as you can see here, I do have two very different stacks. This first stack is brand new books. Some of these were gifts, some of these I purchased, but these are all the books that were purchased new. And then this stack is all the books that I've gotten used. So I like those ratios. This is too many books to be hauling at once, but at least these are pretty nice ratios. Usually I'd like to have even less books in this new pile, but it is what it is. And now I just realized that some of these books are also new. So yeah, we'll get started. First, I'm going to go through all of the books that I purchased brand new from bookstores. First part of this video might be a little bit boring if you watched my July wrap up, because the good news about this is that I have read a lot of these books. So I didn't just buy a bunch of books and have them added to a physical TBR and not reading them. I have been reading them, which is good. So I am going to go through this section a little bit faster because I have talked about them at length for a lot of July. But we'll start off with my July book of the month books, and I got 3 in July and I got 3 in August too. So my July book of the month picks, I got these 3. I got Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. This is a Les Mis retelling in space. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It is YA. I wish it had been adult, just to be a little bit darker and grungier, but this did get me inspired to rewatch Les Mis, so that was a fun experience. That was a backlist pick that I'd had my eye on for a while, and then the July monthly picks, I got 2. And the first one was The Shadows by Alex North. Not a big fan. This was like a thriller with some paranormal elements, but not really paranormal elements, but it did have, I guess, kind of like a paranormal feel. And then I also got Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This was one of my favorite books that I read in July. One of my favorite horror books that I've read this entire year. One of my favorite Gothic horror books as well. Absolutely stunning. This is, like the title suggests, a Gothic story set in Mexico, and it is very atmospheric and very wonderful. If you do like Gothic stories, you'll probably really enjoy this, and it is set in like the 1950s, so it's a really fun and unique ghost story. The next couple of books I got from my birthday. I got a gift card to Barnes & Noble, so I went ahead and picked up some books that had been on my radar for a while. And the first one of those is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I really like when I get gift cards from other people to maybe pick up the start of new series that I've been wanting to read for a while, to see if I'd really like them or not, especially fantasies. I love diving into fantasies with a physical copy, so especially since my libraries have not been open and probably won't be open for some time now. Just in terms of physical copies, I was really excited to pick this one up. Not as much dragons as I was hoping for by the title, but still a really good read. And then I also got Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. This was also a good read. This is not to my normal reading tastes, I will be the first one to admit that, but I did really enjoy the first of the Crescent City books earlier earlier this year. I had picked that up at the very start of March for some escapist reading and loved it, so I figured this would also do the trick. It did. It is a high fantasy, and I'm really excited to continue this series. I know people have very strong opinions when it comes to the series, but I really enjoyed it. This was a fun time. And then another kind of nostalgia slash simpler read for me, I picked up Witch Volume 1. I used to love these graphic novels when I was a kid, and they are being reprinted by Disney Book Group, Disney Comics, and I'm just really excited to delve back into it because they're also coming out with new volumes as well. So I'm excited to get back into this one as well. If you did like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Sailor Moon, you'd probably really enjoy this as well. It is about like a similar age group of young girls that have elemental powers, and it's very girl gang-esque. I loved it. Next up, we have two of my favorite pre-orders of this year. They came out July 7th. That was a great day for releases this year. So I got two books on July 7th, and the first of those was Paul Tremblay's Survivor Song. This is Paul Tremblay's take on a zombie novel. I really loved this. And then kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum of books that I've been enjoying recently, Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardust, and this is a YA fantasy that's inspired by Persian mythology. I really love this as well. So these are two new releases that I do really think are worth your time to check out if you love horror or if you love fantasy. This is a YA fantasy that I feel like it does have a lot of crossover appeal to also adult readers as well. It didn't feel too YA in terms of things that I normally don't like in YA fantasy. I know that I am rushing through these a little bit. I did just finish filming my July wrap-up, which is right now like over 40 minutes long. I have to cut that down, but I did talk about all of these books in length if you want to go see that. I never know what people want to hear about in hauls, especially because if I've read them, I don't want to make it into another wrap-up. And then if I haven't read them, I don't know what to say about them other than I'm excited to read it. So let me know down below what you kind of like seeing in hauls. For me, when I watch like new booktubers that I've recently found, I like to see hauls and wrap-ups to really get a taste for what the booktuber's into. So I guess let me know down below what you like to see out of a haul, and I will try and do that a little bit better for you guys next haul. Moving on to some newer books that I just... Okay, so our Barnes & Noble just opened up for in-person browsing, so I went and I wasn't gonna buy anything, but I just got too excited by being in a physical bookstore again because I hadn't been in one since February, so I did get a couple of books from there, which I wasn't anticipating. But the first one that I got is The Never Tilting World by Rin Chupeco. I have wanted to try another book by Rin Chupeco for a while. I read The Bone Witch by her last year, and I did enjoy the writing style. I just wasn't really interested in the story so much, but I knew that I wanted to try out something else by her in the future. So this sounded good. It sounded like a fun fantasy story. And then in the acknowledgements section, she thanks actor Mark Allen Ruffalo because he's an amazing person and because I can. So I really enjoyed that. So that's why I picked this up, because we love an ironic love for Mark Ruffalo. I also picked up The Book of Dragons. This is a short story collection. It's edited by Jonathan Strahan, but I saw on the back that it has Miss R.F. Kuang in it, and I am a simple woman. I see R.F. Kuang, I buy it. Her Poppy War series has quickly become one of my favorite series of all time, so when I saw she was doing a little story about dragons, I knew I had to pick this up. Again, there are other names on here that I'm excited to see. Shannon Maguire is on here as well, so that's exciting, and I love dragon content, so I picked this up. I would be lying though if I didn't mention the reason why I picked this up primarily was because R.F. Kuang was involved in it. And then I also got The Unwilling by Kelly Braffett. This is a fantasy book that came out in February that was on my most anticipated releases list. Kelly Braffett has written darker, contemporary, almost verging on horror. Her book Save Yourself was one of my favorite ones that I read. I believe I read it in 2018 now. But when I saw she was coming out with a dark fantasy, I wanted to give it a try because I really love her writing. And fun fact, she is actually married to Owen King, who's Stephen King's son, so the power in that writing family is crazy. But this is one of the most beautiful naked books that I've ever seen. So much so that I think it would be kind of fun to display it like this. I don't know. I don't know much about The Unwilling other than the fact that it is a very grim, dark sort of fantasy. And it's an epic tale of greed and ambition, cruelty and love. This deeply immersive novel is about bowing to traditions and burning them down. So we also have Erin Morgenstern, author of The Night Circus, saying that this is fantasy at its most sublime. So that's pretty glowing praise. I'm excited to read it. And then the last book that I got new as a gift actually for my birthday is this quote book. It's great quotes from great women ranging from Marie Curie to Michelle Obama, and it's inspiring quotes from women who have shaped our world. So this is really nice. It's a nice little coffee table book. It's got a lot of inspiring quotes in it. I turned 25 this year, so it's just about on time for my quarter life crisis. I'm trying to change careers at the moment and have just, you know, it's nice to have a little something like this to refer back to for some inspirational, motivational quotes, especially this does have quotes from a lot of creatives in it as well. And, you know, pursuing a career in the arts is daunting a lot of the time, so it'll be nice to pick this up every once in a while and read from it. And now that we have that very large stack out of the way, let's get into all of the thrifted books that I have purchased or acquired, found in some way throughout these past couple of months. The first book that I got in the secondhand haul portion of this haul is going to be Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. This series has a very special place in my heart as one of the first series that made me really get into high fantasy, made me realize that there was, well, to me it was an adult high fantasy, but this is YA high fantasy with dragons and fairies, and it feels very Lord of the Rings-esque, but the writing's just a little more accessible. Because the series is such a nostalgia series for me, I definitely didn't want to purchase them like firsthand, at least the ones that I didn't already own, because they can get a little pricey. I mean, it's a very, very thick hardback YA novel, but now that I have this, it's complete. I think Bersinger was my favorite find. I got it for $1. This one I think I got for about $7, but I will take it. So I've completed that series. I'm very excited to have the whole series on my shelves. I tried to do a reread of this either at the very, very beginning of this year or last year. I don't remember. Time has no meaning at the moment. And I actually never got to Inheritance because I really don't like the audiobooks of this series. I really wish they would be full cast narration. But yeah, so I think now that I have the series complete, some point this year, I really am itching to do a reread. The next couple books that I got secondhand were two books in the Throne of Glass series. Read the first one, really enjoyed it, so I figured that I would just start picking them up and try and get them secondhand. So I got the Assassin's Blade, which I believe is a bind-up of novellas that you're supposed to read first. I'm not too sure. I know it didn't come out first, but I know chronologically it takes place first. So I think this is the next book that I'm going to pick up. I've only read Throne of Glass. Let me know if I'm wrong, but that seems like the best thing to do. So I did get this. This is in pretty much perfect condition, which I was really excited about. Crown of Midnight, on the other hand, I am very disappointed with. You can't really tell too much here, but the edges are very bent, and they're not just bent, they're very soft. And you can tell in like the top corner of the whole entire book. You can't really see it on here, but there's been extensive water damage or oil damage, some sort of damage, and this was listed as like new. To me, that's not like new, and again, it's a used book, so I'm trying not to be too picky, but like that was only listed as good condition. I would consider that one like new. I'd honestly even consider Inheritance as like new, but those are both classified in good condition online. This one was like new, and it's clearly not. So, I mean, that's kind of something that you're gonna run into when you're thrifting books, especially thrifting books online. I do tend to try and pick up my thrifted books in person, but that's just not been possible this year. So I did take a chance. This one, oh well, it is what it is. I'll still be able to really enjoy it, and I don't mind. Again, this one was like $7 or $8, so I'd rather pay that than around 20 for it new, just because these are very much going to be like escapists, fun sort of reads. I don't think it's going to be a favorite series of all time, so she's a little battered, but it's okay. The next book I found for $2, and I'm feeling very good about it because this is another one that I feel like has been I was very nervous to get it, by the way, because I've been looking for this one specifically for a while now, because I have like the other book in the duology, and that's Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King's The Regulators. I already have Desperation, I believe that's the other one. Little segue here, I was just reading the back flap, the author flap, and it's very dark. Richard Bachman died in 1985. I mean, obviously he didn't. It's Stephen King's pen name. I don't know why, like, Desperation and The Regulators really call to me as something that I want to read sooner rather than later, but it is. And I don't know why. Even the booktubers and bookstagrammers that I really enjoy that like Stephen King a lot never talk about this duology, like The Regulators or Desperation. So I don't know why I want to read it so bad. Maybe that's why there's like an air of mystery, but I was really excited to find this one, and in like new condition as well, which is exciting. If this is your first video here, you might not know that I am collecting all of Stephen King's books. I have a whole bookshelf right over there that I'm looking at that you can't see, but I've been trying to buy all of his books secondhand. It's been a fun little scavenger hunt for me, just because he's got about like 70 or 80 books now, so that would be a lot of money to buy them all new. And also I just love a lot of the vintage covers a lot better than the reprints, so I'm excited to check another one off of the list of owned Stephen King / Richard Bachman books. This guy I found in my neighborhood little library, and it is the Advanced Readers edition of Where They Found Her by Kimberly McCreight. I have not been in a thriller mood this year, so I probably should have left it in the book box, but I've heard books in Lala. I'm pretty sure that's where I heard this one really likes this thriller. This is a very old arc, but I was drawn by reading this arc, and now I kind of want to figure out who, this was, by the way, in my parents' neighborhood, so I kind of want to figure out which one of their neighbors had access to arcs like this, because that's exciting. Don't know a lot about this. This looks very fallish, so maybe I'll try and get around to this one in September. Again, I haven't been on the biggest thriller kick this year, so we'll see when I get around to it, but this was free. This one you can feel free to judge me on because I've been judging myself for it, but I got The Subtle Knife and the Amber Spyglass of his Dark Materials books by Philip Pullman. They're books 2 and 3, but I found them at my local used bookstore and they were about $3 a piece. And this is my favorite series of all time. I do have a very beautiful collection, and they are like some of my most prized possessions. So this is me at 25 saying that, you know, I don't want kids anytime soon. It's gonna be at least half a decade before I even think about having kids, and then, you know, a while before they get to these, but I don't want them reading those copies. Those are very special. They're actually pretty rare copies, which I didn't know about, but they're very special to me. So I found these, and they are wonderful floppy paperbacks. I love these series. I didn't need a second copy of these 2 books, and I still need to find the Golden Compass, but these are also like good loaners copies too for people who want to read this series. I will not loan that trilogy out. You guys know how it is when sometimes you loan out your books to other people, you never get them back, or you get them back in slightly worse quality than you gave them to the people. So I talk about this series a lot. I know a lot of people want to read it, and if it's because of me, that's a huge compliment, but you guys are gonna be getting these copies to read instead of my special ones. So probably my most extra purchase of this whole haul, since I already have perfectly good copies of those, but it is what it is, and now I have 2. You know, whatever makes you happy, and it makes me happy to have 2 versions of that series. And speaking of series, I found this box set of The Lord of the Rings plus The Hobbit at Half Price Books. It's a very small little set. The covers are very retro, but I love them. I haven't purchased a set of The Lord of the Rings books nor The Hobbit because most of the ones that I like are pretty expensive. I did find one set on Barnes & Noble that I do like, but have been pulling the trigger on them because it's still like $80 for the trilogy. These are delightful, and it was $10 for all of these. So we have The Hobbit, Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. So these copies are just so delightfully vintage, and I feel like they're just gonna be fun to read from as well, especially The Hobbit. Like, Gollum is not looking well. It is hard to show you guys with the glare, but Gollum is not looking well. And honestly, neither is Bilbo Baggins, but we love that for him. So these were a really cool find. I'm actually going to kind of give a pan over of them because I just think these covers are too cool not to kind of give them a little bit extra love. And then I'm actually going to move on to the comics section of this haul. And all those are secondhand as well. But especially for like comics and graphic novels, I really want to display the artwork on them because obviously that's an important component. So moving on to the next section of haul. So in terms of the Lord of the Rings covers, so we've got The Hobbit, we've got The Fellowship of the Ring, we've got The Two Towers, and we've got Return of the King. Again, these are such delightful vintage covers. I love them. Now moving on to graphic novels and comics, I got Raven by Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo. I love Raven. She is one of my favorite superheroes. Favorite Teen Titan for sure. This is the beginning of a Teen Titans series with Beast Boy coming out this year. So I had to pick this up and I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this series. I also picked up Chapter 1 or Volume 1 of Isola, and this is by Brendan Fletcher and Carl Kirschel. I don't know a lot about this one, but it has a badass female protagonist. And it looks like some animal shape-shifting going on there. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. And the art style here looks really cool as well. Then moving on to some bargain bin comics. I don't often buy single issues in terms of comics. I like buying the bind-ups more. But these were all 25 or 50 cents. So sometimes you just gotta spring for them when you find some cool copies. So first of all, this was kind of my partner's find, but I think it looks cool too. Batman Detective Comics, looks like we've got Batwoman in there too. Found this single issue of Gamora, looking like a badass. One of the coolest find was finding like a bunch of different issues of the same Storm comic. So we have number 2, number 3, 5, 6, and 7. So that's actually going to be more of a storyline that I can follow. So that was pretty cool. So again, 25 cents for a comic. That's still really great. Found this issue of Titans, which looks to have Raven on the cover. So hopefully it's a Raven-centric story. Not too thrilled about the art style, but if we look at who's involved, should be a good time. Should be a good time, so. Any Raven content we love on this channel. We also have this Batman Family Athena Last Rites. Honestly, I don't really know anything about this. Just the cover really speaks to kind of my aesthetic. So again, at 25 cents, why not? And then my favorite of the single issues, this X-Men 92 Dracula Commands. So it looks like that might be Jubilee there being controlled by Dracula? I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but my spooky heart loves it. And then those are all of the Lord of the Rings stuff, and then the comics and the graphic novels. And then of course the rest of the books because I have no chill. And that is going to be the end of this super huge book haul. If you made it to the end, leave a comment down below letting me know your favorite superhero. Give this video a like, make sure to subscribe for more content from me. I'm trying to post twice a week, so plenty of content for y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch y'all in my next video. Bye!